Are men and women equal? Yes. From a standpoint of should everybody have equal rights, without a fucking doubt. That's not what the issue is. The issue is, in a way, feminism versus reality. Okay? I love watching YouTube. I spend 99% of my time by myself, and I love watching videos on how to build things, how things are taken apart step by step, how to solve Rubik's Cubes and shit like that, puzzles and things of that nature. But I really love off grid, tiny houses, how to build. I've watched thousands of them. And today alone, I watched two women that were building like a mother in law's cabin off grid, back in the woods. And one of the women had no experience at all, and one was a professional carpenter that had her own YouTube channel that showed all these great projects that she did. Except for her husband doing 99% of the work off camera, and her camera guy and her computer guy are all men. But it makes the channel money and everybody's profiting. Have a woman doing all the work and coming up with the designs and all that shit, right? So she helps this other girl build this off-grid tiny mother-in-law studio, you know, 300, let's just say 300 feet, less than that. I mean, my pigeon lofts were 10 by 12. So I built my first one, realized it's crappy, went to Home Depot, skimmed through a book that I didn't want to actually have to buy, because all I need to know is how to do stick and frame housing and 16 on center and top plate and bottom plate, double top plate to tie walls in. I'm good to go. 5 minutes worth of reading and I've got 90% of what I need out of this fucking book and how to move forward. Well, these women frame the exact same size wall as the guy did in another video. Well, when you build a wall, 16 on center, 2x4 wall, you have two options. You can put the plywood on where it sits, and you can do, or you could stand it up and put the plywood on after you stand the wall up, right? In both of them, the two women and the one man decide to put the plywood on before they stand up the wall. And both of them can't lift the wall. The two feminists, and it's labeled something entitled "Two Women Build a Cabin by Themselves," right? For the feminist, women power, right? They're smarter and stronger and all this other shit than than men. Two women should be smarter and stronger than one man, right? Well, if you keep watching the video, they're going back and forth, and the ranch that they're on, they've got a damn, let's just say, $60,000 tractor. A tractor that pretty much does everything on a small homestead. And these two women can't figure out how to lift this one wall, right? So they go across the street to the neighbors and ask two men to come help them to stand the wall. And the two men get over there and stand up the wall, and the women nail it off. And by God, we raised the first wall by ourselves. No, you stupid fucks, you didn't. You needed two men to come over and do it for you, and y'all nailed it off while they held it in place. And they never touched the wall that they lifted. And you'd think the two women would realize, gee, there's a $60,000 tractor sitting right there, and there's all these trees that we built this thing on that we can tie rope off, or a come along, or a chain hoist or something to help lift these walls. What do? They built each wall exactly how they built the first one, walk their happy asses across the street, and have the two guys come and lift the walls for them. So they did absolutely nothing. They learned absolutely nothing. because they didn't solve the problems by themselves. But feminist, women are equal and smarter than men and stronger, right? But we're supposed to be equal. Then the next video, after I watched that level of stupidity, because they know the proper steps, but they have no original thought process. They don't work through the problem. They needed a man to come over there, 2 men actually, to lift the wall for them, to put it in place. And they never corrected the steps or changed anything or thought about another process on how to raise the other 3 walls. But 2 women built it by themselves. They didn't need the help of any fucking man or that giant ass fucking tractor sitting right there, or God forbid use leverage and mechanical advantage in any fucking capacity. No, they were dumbfounded and dumbstruck on how to lift the damn wall. Fast forward, I'm watching this guy in Canada bitching about the metric system versus the imperial system, and he lives in Canada, so they buy U.S. materials, or everything's made for the U.S. market, so he's having to learn inches and all this other shit. That's beside the point. But he builds almost the exact same fucking size wall, sheets it in plywood, and goes to raise it. And guess what? He can't raise the wall by himself. He's putting in the maximum effort and trying to figure it out, but he doesn't have the knowledge, or, well, he came up with it. He didn't really think about using mechanical leverage or anything the first day, and he gives up. But of course, he's out in the middle of bumfuck Canada that you got to travel an hour by boat, so there's nobody to help him. So he realizes, well, if you pry the wall up that much, you can put a 2x4 under it. Well, once you got a 2x4 under it, you can pry it up and put 2, then 3, then 4, you know, because he doesn't have a wall jack. And I'm sitting there thinking, out in the middle of nowhere, you should have a crowbar or a maul or an axe, a handle. Hell, he had 2x4s. But he came up with a system of putting cleats down on the floor so he has something to brace himself up against. And he came up with an idea of putting 2 drop 2x4s, so every time he gets under it and lifts it, maybe only that much at a time, it'll catch another 2x4. And when he's done, he'll unscrew the 2x4, move it to in front of the 2x4 stands holding up the wall, get under there and give a great big fucking shove and move it back up. And then he thought, oh shit, since I built the porch on, now I gotta slide this wall back because the wall's longer than the floor plan. So how do I do that? He didn't bitch and moan and cry. No, by God, he wiggled the damn thing into place. And it's like the utter stupidity of both of them, that there's a tree right next to the structure you're building. A toe strap can handle 10,000 pounds. What do you call those things? Ratchet strap, 10,000 pounds. You move at everything about that much. No mechanical value as far as ropes, because he obviously weighs more than he can lift. They never thought about it, but out of the 2, the man out by himself figured out a way that, well, if he can move it just a little bit each time, the thickness of a 2x4, he'll keep moving these 2x4s over and slowly get a wall built. Where the feminists that were so proud that they built the house by themselves with a $60,000 tractor sitting right beside them and a whole damn barn full of equipment that any man would have fucking used in a heartbeat, they had to completely shut down and take a break and wait for help to arrive to lift the wall. So, women are supposed to be stronger and smarter than men, but yet here's 2 situations where one side was completely inadequate of coming up with an original thought or a process in which to lift a wall with heavy machinery and every piece of equipment that you could possibly think of that was on a ranch and a wall. And here's a man the same size as the biggest woman out in the middle of bumfucked Egypt, fucking Canada, with absolutely nothing but a hammer and 2x4s, and somehow managed to do the job completely by himself. Yes, he had to take a night off in frustration, and there was a lot of swearing and cussing, and you know, he said maybe I need to build up my strength and all this other shit, but he did it. The biggest fucking wall he had to put up by himself, he did it. What's the difference there? So that's just when somebody says, "Oh yeah, women are smarter and just as equal and as strong and everything and can hold their weight up to any fucking man." In less than an hour worth of watching 3 videos, I watched this utter stupidity of both of them, and the man, to all his credit, had never built anything in his fucking life. He sold everything, went out in the middle of the fucking wilderness, and he's got to build a survival camp shed before winter sets in. And here's 2 women with access to an entire barn full of fucking equipment and actually drove the fucking tractor right up to the site because they couldn't carry a sheet of plywood and they can't figure out the fucking problem. I thought they were stronger and smarter than us, but yet equal at the same time. Makes you wonder, huh?